You know, the internet feels like it just creates endless mysteries, right? These unsettling videos, weird websites, and just chilling stories that seem to pop up with no explanation. But what happens when the ghosts in the machine actually get caught? Well, today we're diving into some of the absolute creepiest internet legends that were, believe it or not, finally solved. And trust me, the answers are often way more shocking than the mystery itself.
All right, let's just jump right into our first and by far the most serious case. This isn't some ghost story, this is a real-world tragedy that had investigators completely stumped until one single comment posted online changed everything. We're talking about the absolutely heartbreaking disappearance of 10-year-old Lily Peters.
So just look at how fast this all went down. On April 24th, 2022, Lily heads out to her aunt's house on her bike, something she'd probably done 100 times. But that evening, she doesn't come home. Her dad finds her bike just abandoned on a trail. And by the next morning, the search comes to the worst possible conclusion. The police had absolutely no leads, and the entire community was just terrified.
With the case going cold, the story of course ends up on a true crime subreddit. And in the middle of all the theories and speculation, one user, HomesliceNation4, posts something very specific. See, they'd been playing Pokemon Go on that exact same trail and remembered seeing Lily with another kid. They ended their comment with this really chilling suspicion. Now the post was deleted, but not before someone else saw it and sent it straight to the police tip line.
And get this, that one tip was the breakthrough. It was everything. It just shows you the insane power of crowdsourcing, right? The police questioned Lily's 14-year-old cousin, Carson, and he confessed to the whole thing. That he'd been planning the attack for months, that he lured her into the woods. An awful, terrible mystery, solved not by a detective in an interrogation room, but from a random comment on Reddit.
So our next case, it shifts from this very public crime to a deeply personal, almost psychological mystery. Just imagine for a second you live alone, right? But you start finding notes around your apartment, and they're not in your handwriting. Well, that is exactly what happened to a Reddit user who called himself R. Bradbury.
It started out small enough back in April 2015. A single Post-it note with a list of chores on it just appears on his desk. He's confused, obviously, but he tries to just brush it off. But then it starts to escalate.
A few days go by, and another note shows up. This one says, "Save your documents." Okay, so now he's totally convinced someone is breaking in. So he sets up a webcam to try and catch the intruder. But when he wakes up the next morning, there's another note, and all the video files from the night before, they're just gone. It's like someone isn't just getting into his home, they're covering their tracks digitally too.
So what on earth was going on? I mean, was it a stalker, a ghost? He even started to suspect his landlord was messing with him. Totally confused and, frankly, scared out of his mind, he took the whole story to Reddit, just desperate for some answers.
And this is where the story takes a hard left turn. The online crowd wasn't just thinking about crime. One user, named Kerlak, noticed this one tiny detail in his story. The guy slept in a room with no windows. So they asked him a really simple question that had nothing to do with an intruder. "Hey, do you get bad headaches?" And the answer was yes.
And that one question led to the absolutely terrifying truth. Kerlak suggested he might have carbon monoxide poisoning. He goes out, he buys a detector, and the second he plugs it in, the alarm starts blaring. His apartment was filled with this deadly, invisible gas. It turns out he was the one writing the notes during these periods of memory loss and confusion, and then completely forgetting he'd done it. The Phantom was himself. Reddit didn't just solve a mystery here, it literally saved his life.
All right, now we're going to pivot from a real life or death situation to one of the internet's most iconic and, let's be honest, seriously creepy legends. Oh man, if you were on the internet in the 2000s, there is no way you didn't see the I Feel Fantastic video, and you almost definitely heard the terrifying story that came with it.
Okay, so this is the legend that basically turned a weird, kind of janky video into pure nightmare fuel. The theory was that this android, named Tara, was made by a serial killer. He would supposedly dress her up in his victim's clothes, and you know that weird random shot of a backyard in the video? Well, that was supposedly where he buried their bodies. The song itself was just a twisted, disturbing taunt.
For years, this was just the accepted story. It was internet gospel. But the truth, which was finally uncovered by a writer in 2020, is, well, it's way more boring. The creator wasn't a killer, he was just an inventor. The clothes weren't from victims, they were just random outfits he had. And that creepy garden? Yep, it was just a garden.
So, the reality of it all was that this robot, Tara, was actually the passion project of a guy named John Bergeron. He sank $2,000 into building her, hoping he could market some mass-produced singing android. His plan totally failed, and all that's left is this unintentionally creepy video and a legend that became way, way bigger than its humble, kind of sad origins.
Okay, let's move on to our final case, which is a whole different kind of mystery. This isn't a crime that got solved or a myth that got debunked. Nope. This was a mystery that was deliberately created, from the very beginning, designed to go viral before going viral was even really a thing.
You've probably seen this face. It all started back in 2008 with this sketch and a simple, kind of unsettling question on a website. Have you dreamed of this man? The site claimed that a psychiatrist patient drew this face. And then, soon after, other patients started recognizing him from their own dreams.
And wow, did it work. The story spread like wildfire. The website got flooded with messages and testimonials. We're talking over 10,000 people from all across the globe claiming they had seen this exact man in their dreams. The whole phenomenon went global, and people seriously started to wonder if it was something supernatural.
But once again, the online crowd got to work. Sleuths on forums like 4chan were pretty skeptical from the start. A simple reverse IP lookup of the website didn't point to some research institute or a paranormal expert. No, it led directly to a guerrilla marketing company, a company known for creating bizarre public stunts.
And finally, the whole mystery unraveled in 2010. An Italian marketer named Andre Nutella admitted the whole thing was a fabrication, a stunt. The face, it was based on his own father. Those thousands of dreams were most likely just the power of suggestion. You know, once you see the image, your brain is more likely to conjure it up while you sleep. And the weirdest part of all, he never actually revealed what he was trying to promote. So, after going through all these solved mysteries, what have we actually learned? Because it's more than just a collection of weird internet stories. It really points to a fundamental shift in how we, as a society, find the truth. I mean, just look at this summary. A super clear pattern just jumps out at you. In every single one of these cases, the solution came from the online crowd. On Reddit, they became detectives and solved a murder, and then they acted like doctors to diagnose a poisoning. On other forums, they were mythbusters who exposed an urban legend, and they were investigators who uncovered a marketing hoax.
And this right here, this really gets to the heart of the new reality we're all living in. The internet isn't just some passive library where mysteries show up. It's an active player in the story. It's the platform that gives a voice to the witness who solves a crime, but it's also the tool that lets a marketer create a global delusion from scratch.
So yeah, we solved these mysteries, but they leave us with a much, much bigger question. In a world where anyone can be a detective, but also a myth maker, or even a ghost in the machine, what does that actually mean for our ability to tell what's real and what isn't? It's definitely something to think about.